right, so a couple of steps since we last saw. I cleaned any residual grease and oil off of the parts, and I've got them soaking here in some evaporust. I only have a gallon, so I've got them laid out as flat as I can and kind of rotating it around, hitting it with the brush, and then in a little bit we'll flip the parts over, anything that's exposed. But I should probably get some more evaporust for the next project. Judging by this, I would need another 2 gallons to cover it up. But we'll make do. With the cleaning that I did, there was not a ton of rust. Probably the rustiest thing is this chuck. And I'm not sure how that's going to come out. This will probably soak overnight. Other things, that I had wire wheeled actually came out pretty clean anyway, so the evaporust isn't really going to do much. But I have these gears, and the gears have caked in grit. You can see some on the bench here. And just my bench grinder with the wire wheel couldn't get into it. So I'm trying here with this. And that's hard work. Not that I'm averse to hard work, but I feel like there might need to be a better way of doing that. I have my specialty screwdriver, which is the broken one that I use for a lot of various things. Yeah, it looks like this might get in there and break up that really caked in. Oh yeah, you can see how it's really just layers of caked in, or years of just caked in grit. So I'm going to work on that. I'll work on the gears. We have, like this one I've done already with the wire brush to get that out. But these other gears need to get all that junk out of there too. So I'm going to get scraping on that, and we'll bring you back when we're at the next step. All right, on day 2, let's take a quick look at some of our evaporust magic. Stuff always is amazing how it works. Yeah, pretty amazing how nicely this all comes out. Very interesting. It's black underneath there. Curious to see if that guy will end up working. I think we can get that to fix. Cool, we'll rinse these guys. Oh, this one was solid rust here. We'll rinse these guys off, get them dried up, move on to the next step. Okay, so with all of the parts clean, I want to take a minute and go through and kind of see what we have. And we'll make a list of what we want to do and what raw materials we might need to procure to fix this stuff up. So let's take a look at some of these pieces. Okay, first up, that chuck. Taking a quick look at it after we got the rust off of it. It's a Craftsman chuck, so it's been definitely not original. I feel like this chuck is too small for what we're going to want to do. So a new chuck is on the list. The gears look like they're in pretty good shape. I'm not missing any teeth. That's one thing as I go through this. Generally pretty happy with the condition of everything. Didn't seem to be a ton of wear. We get that key out of there. But the gears are all in good shape, good condition. The challenge will be, how do I make them pop? They're cast gears, and we got to make them look a little special. We've got a couple of thrust bearings, which again, these are all in pretty good shape. I like to call this the ghost part. I guess it's right near Halloween here in the US, and this kind of reminds me of a ghost. The casting, you know, a bit rough on some spots, but not terrible. This piece is where the handle will go through. I'm missing the handle, so we'll have to make a handle. It's got a long arm on it with an actual handle to crank it and make it go. This does have a little bit of damage here on that one tooth, but overall, again, that gear is in good condition. So this is an interesting piece. This is the part that drives down on the drill press, and this is actually a patented sort of chuck that they have. I don't know what this top hole is for, though. So at some point, you know, you could put a 1/2-inch rod in there. The top of it's broken, so I'll try to clean that up a little bit. But the chuck itself is basically just this, you know, this set bolt. So you put your device up in there and then just kind of crank down on it. So one way or the other, they got a patent for that. So we'll work on cleaning that guy up. Let's see, what else do we have of interest? This piece, this is the main bar that connects the body to the table. We'll get this chucked up on the lathe and clean it up, get that rust off of there. One thing though, this is the bottom where this will mount to the post, and then this sets in here. And you can see there's just a ton of play inside that. I don't know if there's some way that we can bore this out, clean that up, and then maybe make some sort of a bushing so that when this does go in there, it just has a nicer fit. And the same would apply to the main housing where the top part bolts in. That's also, you know, has very similar, you know, laxness. And I don't know if I can be nice to kind of tighten that up. We've got this mechanism. This is the down feed mechanism that mounts on the top of the drill. And I haven't taken this apart yet, so I want to see. It's got this solid metal casting and has these 2 through. Oh, look at that. So when we rotate this, these brass pieces on the side. So there's a cam mechanism in there. Oh, interesting. And I can see a little screw, little flathead screw head right inside here. And it looks like maybe that's the trick to getting these guys apart. So, and as you rotate it, interesting. So there's some sort of a cam set up in there. Check this side. It's a little sticky, but it's doing the same thing. You know, we're here to learn, so I think we're going to take that apart. Whoop. Got some parts, some stuff coming out, which is basically dried up grease. So we'll take that apart in just a moment. We've got some brass pieces. We'll see how well those can clean up. And there was a bit of a gasket material that was on the top of the down shaft. Have to find some sort of a compatible or comparable material to replace that. One little trick on the spring that I did is I took a long bolt with a nut on the top so that I could keep it stretched to get a little bit more kind of in between each of the springs, because without that bolt it clamps down nice and tight. But this way I can get to the inside for when I'm cleaning it and ultimately painting it. This is the ratcheting arm. This goes on the top of the crank and will work to advance the down feed. This mounts on top of the drill, and so it has this little hook here that'll kind of grab it. Now, where it normally touches is really worn out, so without being able to probably make a new one of these, my plan is to shift it over to the left. Well, I'll take out this pin. We'll put a little bushing in there to kind of sidestep it over about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, so it grabs more in that full tooth area as opposed to that broken tooth. That's my current thought process on that. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can get this guy apart. All right, let's see. Hope there's no worms in here. All right, so this is a little set screw. I see. Okay, so that's letting me now pull this bolt out. Okay. That's where the set screw bolts in. And then let's see if we can. Okay. Yeah, good thing we got this guy apart. It's just got a lot of grit and dirt in there. So we'll get that all cleaned up and working nicer again. So here's that eccentric that was doing all the work. All right, good. Wasn't too bad. Yeah, you look down inside there, the other side, this is just caked on, so it's good to be curious sometimes. No worms in here, which is nice. Actually, let's leave that kind of impartial. All right. Yeah, you just look at that, all that caked on grit. Okay, this mark, this side has 1 mark on it, and this side has 2. So let's not see if we can't mess that up when we put it back together. So I'll make another mark on the piece here so that we know which side is which. Make sure there's no marks already. Let's make one. All right, there's our one. And let's make a 2 over here, just because. All right, so there's the down feed mechanism. We'll clean that up and move on.
So that's Bryce Young to Jurgen and Adam Thielen to make it 14-0 at the time. Dolphins have crawled back. It's now 14. No, it's just that little delay right off the tail of him. Saints can't handle it. No chance for Carr to set.
Okay, I'd like to clean this up. It's got some nicks on it. It's got a rough edge here. And I'm curious as to what I can do here on the lathe using a carbide tip here. And I know that I run the risk, or will kind of lose the stamping that's on here. I'm trying to balance that with just kind of the way that it's all banged up and looks overall pretty terrible. So, you know, we're gonna start small and see how it looks and make a decision from there. All right, so we got, looks like 2 types of material here. Yeah, we have the cast iron, or not cast iron, but we have the outer piece here and then the main shaft. You could clearly see what was going on there. And some pretty good, rough edges. Go in a little deeper this time. helps if your tool is locked. All right. One more time. This time, make sure you've locked your tool. Lock the carriage. Let's go in a little more. Okay. You know, so that does tell me when I get to the, if I'm going to work on this outside, it is going to not be making chips. It's more whatever this dust is. All right, that looks pretty good. Yeah, there's some pretty good gouging in there. All right. Okay, let's give these tune up that chamfer. All right, working on this main post here. Unfortunately, I can't get it in any further into my lathe, but we're going to quickly put a center drill here on the end of it so that we can get it set up with a rest. So let's do that right now.